everybody, and welcome along to DBF1 Season 5. 2 weeks to go. We're the penultimate week of the championship, and this we can get the championship to get very, very spicy indeed. We hope you're all going to tune in for this, because we could have some twists and tales that will be unfolding. My name is Jess Ball, your commentator as per usual, and we got a slight twist to tonight's proceedings. Waze, our championship leader, can't make it tonight, so it is very likely that the championship will be decided next week in Brazil and Abu Dhabi. So we'll look at the standings for you just to get a clear idea and for me to explain how it's working. So, as it stands, there are 120 points available for the next 2 weeks. After tonight, there will be 60. Only the top 7 are still mathematically in a chance of winning the title. If, basically, they can get the gap to Waze 60 points or less, then they'll be in the fight next week. Simple as. So, basically, that's going to be the key factor. Darky, I don't think Darky's going to show up. So Darky's out the championship fight. So Darky can't make it by the looks of things. The gap is more than 60 to Waze between him and Darky. So he is now out of the championship fight. But everybody else who is going to be here tonight, they still got a very, very good chance. The ones we're going to keep an eye on tonight, Deck, who will join the lobby soon because he's just finished his tennis coaching. Dan and Tony, and also Chris Johnson and Jordan. So they're mathematically in it. All of them need to have a good race, which is easier said than done. Tonight, we're going to start with the most hardest track on the calendar, and the longest as well. It is going to be the Singapore Grand Prix, first used in Formula 1 back in 2007-2008. It was the home of Crashgate. Don't want to go thinking dramatically into detail there. But Singapore has always pulled some dramatic racing. Of course, 2017, 2018, we saw the wet weather came and there was quite a few crashes, and that's all I think it was Vettel that crashed or something, and Lewis Hamilton pulled off the greatest lap of a lifetime there. It was crazy. So that is something to keep an eye on tonight. So this is the track. 3.147 miles, 19 turns, 5.065 kilometers, and we have 22 laps that are awaiting our drivers tonight. So without further ado, we're not going to be waiting very long for the racing to get underway. So let's get started, shall we, with qualifying session. So it's going to be a 35% race first, and then 25% race, and then a 35% race. That's where we will kick off with short qualifying, so 18 minutes, and the top 5 get points in qualifying. That's going to be crucial. So if Deck gets pole position, he's still in the fight next week. That is simple as. So last week, if you missed last week, it was some interesting races last week. We were at the Netherlands for one of the races. It was quite entertaining. We saw Lewis Craig take another victory in the Netherlands. He likes the Netherlands, doesn't he, as Lewis Craig? Of course, he's full-time for the rest of the season. According to the bookies, Twitter, Jack Craig, Lewis Craig is the favourite to get pole tonight. So if Lewis Craig doesn't get pole, he could blame his brother. Yeah, that is true on that one. So, yeah, we saw Lewis and CJ get a 1-2 in both Monza and Netherlands, but they switched the other way around. Jordan got 3rd in the Netherlands, and Waze got 3rd in Italy. So, who's going to be the first person to set a lap? It's probably one of the Ferraris, actually. We'll go on board with him. Now, I would expect people to be on a mixture of tyres, because the softs around here in Singapore could be an absolute nightmare. Not because of the tyre wear, but due to the tyre temperatures, and the rears go very, very quickly. So that is something for the drivers to keep an eye on. Here comes Dan to the final corner, and he goes fast at the moment with a 1:32.314, but we expect to see lap times be insanely quicker. So our third World Championship contenders has set a lap time. Jack Craig has just come into the pit lane. Where is Deck? There he is. Deck currently sitting in second in the championship. He could lead the championship tonight or close up to 5 points if he wins both races. As we're seeing, wow, oh my goodness, 129, sorry, 0.568 for Jack Craig. Chris Johnson goes third position. What about Jordan? He's about to start his run, so his teammate Tony comes across the line in P5. We then got, I think, yeah, Bazza is on his outlap, so we will ignore him. So we got Dan's teammate Jake, who is hoping for a podium tonight. He's not going to be racing next week, so it's his last 2 races of the season before season 6. He's sloted into second fastest. That's a decent lap time for the Ferrari man. And, of course, Williams could win the Constructors tonight, but no Williams in sight, Ferrari could close up a little bit, so that could be very interesting. Expect to see some drivers might be trying to do more than one lap, which is potentially why we could see... Oh, why have I pressed the wrong button? So, which is why we could see the likes of Dan and Tony really climb up a bit more again. So they won bankers just now. So Dan, he's looking to see if the second run on those mediums is going to make a difference. Up to the line he goes, 1:32.0. Tony, I think a lot of these drivers are just getting used to the track right now, as it's changed quite recently to get rid of that chicane bit. I absolutely love this updated version of the track, but I did like the bridge section. That was the only thing I liked about the old track, believe it or not, which is quite interesting. So anyway, Tony, he has got a few sections. Yep, he's going to go into the pit lane. So there they go. So we're right on board then with who's going to be the first ERT driver to set a lap time. Is it Bazza? Yep, it is Bazza, actually. As he goes to the final corner. He likes this track. He wants to get a good result here. He's run out of deployment to the line now. He goes 5th on mediums. The 3 drivers on mediums are very close together, which is very impressive. Gamer James is on his lap. No, I think no, he's not. He's running out of fuel. Never mind. So we'll go on board with ERT Jordan. He's won quite a few races this season, but he's not going to get his qualifying off to the start that he wanted, because unfortunately he has invalidated his run. So he is going to have to dive it in to the pits, and since it is a long run, the drivers won't have long to set best runs. They've got to really get their eye in as early as they can, because otherwise they're going to end up bottling it. So if I was Jordan, I would go again. He saved a bit of ERS, so he's determined. And luckily, because he was on mediums anyway, it shouldn't be a problem. With quite a few people on mediums for qualifying, it strongly suggests that we could see harder option in qualifying. We could see, I think, the hards being used slightly more often than not. We could see more people maybe starting on the hards, but you never know. I'm not the strategist here in Dive Bomb F1. It's the up to the drivers, and even some of the drivers may not know. So there we go. And I have to say, this section, very tight, and if you get it wrong, it's called a little bit of understeer. Clip to curb. Doesn't invalidate. Very nice from ERT Jordan as he makes his way. I need to actually look at the corner names because, yep, there we go. I was right. Turn 11 and 12. He goes through into the bridge now, where we've seen quite a few pile-ups over the years. He's saving a bit of battery at the moment, so I think he's going to dive it in. No, he's still going. So he's managing to save a bit of ERS into the water bridge there, which was very impressive for Jordan. Has he got enough fuel to do another lap is another story. Chris Johnson's on an out lap at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on him in just a moment. Jack Craig is on a run as well, so we're right on board with Jack Craig in just a moment on the soft tyres. So you see a lot of drivers taking quite a short run there. Stays in 6th gear. Oh, Jordan! That would have put him just ahead of James. So, yeah, that was an invalidation for Jordan there. Jack Craig. Purple set to 2, but don't forget that's against the drivers around him, not obviously overall, and he's hardly gotten much ERS to use. So if I was him, maybe going into the pits will probably be a good idea, so he can have enough time to set another run. But he's going to go anyway. Here he comes, cross the final corner. It's going to be good enough for pole. No, P3 though, not that far off Jake. That is impressive for Jack Craig. So that's our first lot of lap times on the board, but we will see people go out again on some other runs. Now, bearing in mind, we will see potential movers and shakers going on as the track evolves and as they get used to the track a little bit more. Now, bearing in mind tonight, pit stops can be very crucial, especially with safety cars, because this is one of the longest in terms of pit lane losses. You're going to lose a lot of times, around about 29 seconds. So it's crucial that you get the undercut more than anything. So as more people dive it into the pits, more people are finishing their run. Oh! So Lewis Craig has got a disqualification for blocking the pit lane. Now, will that trigger a lobby restart? I have no idea. He did not, from by the sounds of it, he did not block the pit lane. I am very confused here, but I only caught the end of it, but it didn't look like he blocked the pit lane. That was very odd. He's going to be very confused with himself, or maybe he's done it on purpose because he wants to start at the back. So Jack's prediction of who he thinks was going to start on pole tonight is not going to work, really. Or they might continue with qualifying and place Lewis based on his lap time. So I will get the race director on that one. Lewis Craig saying in the chat, jumping A. So I'm not sure if he's annoyed or not, but we'll have to wait and see. I think Chris Johnson was saving a bit of ERS heading towards the first couple of turns, and he's lost himself into P1 with a 130.4. I didn't see Chris Johnson get a P1 because obviously I was so distracted with Lewis Craig getting disqualified. Okay, so Lewis Craig doesn't mind. He wants to go for the last to first challenge. Okay then, so we are going to carry on. Okay, that's fine. That is fine. He has done it on purpose. Or has he done it on purpose? Interesting. Dan Wheelnut slots himself into P4 at the moment, which is not that far behind Jack Craig and Jake either. But his teammate is on a lap, though, just behind him. I wonder if they're going to give each other the toe in just a moment. We'll have to wait and see. We've got a Scottish Goat. He was on a run, but unfortunately, he has invalidated his run. Now, I've just had an update in at the chat. It wasn't on purpose. He was letting the Ferrari go. Now, something similar happened in another league. It was, I can't remember what track it was. It was around Canada. When someone tried to do the same thing, let people through as they were coming out the pit lane, and so the pit lane was so tight, it disqualified someone, which was very odd. But luckily, we used common sense and we reinstated the driver's lap time because it was towards the end of the session. So basically, one of the people that got disqualified set a lap time which was good enough for pole. So we put him on pole position. We had a lobby restart anyway because we usually do lobby restarts. So it kind of made sense. But it will be interesting. But since Lewis wants to start at the back anyway, we're not going to have that lobby restart. Anyway, here comes Jake then, as he's passed his teammate now, as his teammate are probably going to go to the pits now. He's currently second. Can he find enough time to get himself a provisional pole position? The answer to that is no, but he finds almost 2 tenths on his previous time, which puts him still in P2. Gamer James is on a run, and so is Deck. I'm surprised Deck has not set a competitive lap time yet to put himself into P1. Yet, so I think he's going to take a while. So let's stay on board with Gamer James as he's going to go into the pits too. I think quite a lot of people are going to go into the pits actually, so we might stay on board with people that will do faster lap times without laps. Scottish Goat, I have to say, also a driver that is new to league racing quite recently. He said to me, what do you think I should improve on? He said. And I said, consistency. That is a big word here. In many championships I've commentated on, that I've driven on, mostly the driver that has won the championship has been the one that is the most consistent. I raced in a championship many games ago, I think it was F1 2021, where the person who won the championship never won a race. So it might not mean necessarily if you get wins all the time, but if you consistently get podiums, maybe even top 4, top 5 finishes all the time, but your other rivals may get a win, but they may DNF the rest of it or get low point finishes. That could really help you. So that's my advice if you're trying to win a championship. Really aim for consistency. Lewis does not want to start the back. Okay, fair do. Scottish Goat then goes up to the line to start his lap down. We'll be doing the same very, very soon. Bazza, I think, was on the middle of his lap. He's 6/10 up, which will put him around about where... I don't know, actually. That'll put him where Dan is, I think, which will put him in P5. But he's looking to find a bit more time than that. Got a lot less ERS to use in at the final sector, but he took the final sector well. So what's it going to be for the Welshman? Is it going to be enough for the top 5? Is it good enough for P3? P3 for Bazza. That is really good for him. This is quite tight between the top 5, I would say, in qualifying. Oh, that makes sense, Lewis. That makes sense, Lewis, that you do not want a lobby restart. I don't want a lobby restart either because, yeah, Singapore, especially in 35% races, is long, and you don't want to be there for a long time, do you? No, you don't. So, but yes, Bazza up to 3rd. What can Scottish Goat do? He's purple sector 2, but he's only 3 temps up, which will put him around about 55 area. But the final sector sometimes is where you could be making or breaking all out. It was a little bit of a swerve there. He's got 3% battery. He's going to run out to the line. Battery depleted for Scottish Goat. What's it going to be? It's pole. It's pole position for Scottish Goat right now. That is really, really impressive. I told you the final sector can make or break a lap. That is really good. We'll see if anyone else could do something about it. Dan won't, because he's invalidated his run then. He has invalidated his run. So, he's going to have to dive into the pits unless he can save enough battery to go for a final run. Now, everyone else is on final runs now or about to start their final runs. So, can anyone beat a 1:30.204? Answer on the postcard. We'll find out in about 2 minutes or so. Jordan is saving quite a bit of battery in sector 1. Quite a lot of people are doing that, which is really great to see. So we're going to watch Jordan. We'll see what his sector 1 is right now. Of course, Bazza can't improve anymore, so he goes into the pit lane because he's not going to have time to come out, which is fair enough. Jordan, though, of course, not the fastest sector 1, but he's looking quite good. So I'm going to keep an eye on the timings on the left-hand side because it doesn't pop up to see whether you go fast. That's why I didn't see if Chris Johnson went fast or not, because it didn't pop up on my screen. So that is weird, but we'll see how he does this section. Second gear, that is the gear that I would recommend. Use a bit of battery. Quite a lot of people have plenty of battery as you head towards sector 3. So you're going to use quite a bit. Oh my goodness, this is a very good lap from Jordan. He might have been a bit late on the brakes though, heading towards the beginning of the final sector, but he's a second up. So at the moment, this will put him on provisional pole position. Now, Jordan heading towards the final bit of the lap. It's going to be make or break for Jordan. Can he snatch pole position from Scottish Goat? The answer to that is yes. At the moment, Jordan is on provisional pole position. Can anybody beat him? Chris Johnson can't beat that lap time. He has unfortunately invalidated. So that is it then for Chris Johnson. But what would it have been? It would have been a 1:30.0, which would have put him in P2. So that will be heartbreak for Chris Johnson because he would have been on the front row. Dex 3 temps up. I don't think he's going to be doing enough to slot himself anywhere near the top 5, but we'll have to wait and see. Dex got a lot of work to do. He is going up to line. We'll keep an eye on Jake in just a moment to see what he does. But Derek, 1:31.1. That puts him in P9 still. Jake goes up to line. Can he go fastest? No. He stays in P4. And his friend Gamer James is going to across the line now. I don't think he's going to improve either. Oh, yes, he does. Wow. P3 for Gamer James. That is really good. Jack is not improving because he's slowing down. So Jordan is on pole position with a 129.7. That lap looked very hooked together. But yes, Chris Johnson, if he kept his lap valid, he would have been on the front row and he would have got 4 points. So out of your championship contenders, this has worked well for Jordan and Chris Johnson because they gained crucial points on Waze now. And Darky does say, watch out for Chris too, yes. I don't know why you're not racing, Darky. You're out of the championship fight now. But thank you so much, Darky, for joining us as well in the chat. And I want to see, actually, what was Lewis's time. He said in the chat that he would have been pole. Yes, he would have. He would have been pole position by 2 tenths, Lewis Craig. So if the game wasn't doing game things. So here we go then. Jordan from Scottish Goat, from James, Chris Johnson, Jake, Bazza, Jack Craig, Dan, Deck, Tony, Ryan Barry, and then Lewis Craig got disqualified, but he would have been pole anyway. The top 7 separated by just over a second. So we're about to get going then for the 35% race. Don't forget, safety cars are on. This gives me a good chance to talk about championship permutations because the amazing Jack has provided me with them today. So thank you very much. I need to scroll all the way up to see it because I swear he put it in the chat. There we go. So Jordan will be eliminated from title contention unless he scores or outscores Waze by 41 points. So he's got a good chance tonight. Chris Johnson will be eliminated from title contention unless he outscores Waze by 28 points. Tony will be eliminated from title contention unless he outscores Waze by 27 points. And Dan will be eliminated from title contention unless he outscores Waze by 6 points. And then Det will be eliminated from title contention unless he outscores Waze by 5 points. So it is going to go to next week no matter what, unless Deck and Daniel DNF both races, which we hope, of course, doesn't happen. And if Darky was in, as long as he outscored Waze by 12 points, he would have still been in it. But there we go. He's not here tonight, so there we go. So it would have been Lewis Craig and Jordan front row, but yeah. It should be interesting. Luckily, I'm very relieved that I could see on my screen. Actually, no, let me get it on your screens now, actually. But I'm so relieved that we've got a dry Singapore because I've commentated on wet Singapores before and it's been, honestly, it's been an absolute nightmare. And I don't know why it's got Grill the Grid up on YouTube. I'm trying to get up the chat on YouTube. So let us know in the chat, guys, who you think is going to be winning this one. But here we go then. We're about to go to the 5 red lights here in Singapore. And it is time to rock and roll. We'll see who has the good start. Jordan's got a better start of a Scottish go, but it looks like it could be free winding towards turn number 1. Jordan around the outside, holds his line into the lead of the race. Chris Johnson up into 3rd place as it's all clean already, but Gamer James, who's losing quite a few positions already because of Chris Johnson. And you can see Jake around the outside of Gamer James in towards turn 4. So your order is Jordan from Scottish Goat, from Chris Johnson, Jake, James, Bazza, and then we got Dan Wilnut as well. James trying to attack from Jake once again, which he does, and Gamer James up into 4th. As Dan tried to get on the inside of Bazza. They almost hit each other, which is not ideal, but Dan's dropped position down into 8th place. There's just so much going on in the space of the opening corners, and I don't know why it's showing cars very weirdly around here, so I do apologise. You're just going to have to bear with right now. We'll keep an eye on the tyres then. So the top 3 are on the hard tyres, so for them to hold on to the lead, quite early on the hard side is very impressive, which strongly suggests that they have a very good setup then, as we could see. They're all quietly, tightly close together, which I wasn't expecting around such a long track of Singapore. So you will better watch his space. Yellow flag, that is Det then, who's had a moment heading towards sector 3. That's not what he wants for his championship hopes. He's got no front wing, and that's going to be frustrating because out of all the championship contenders, he has to score the least tonight. But he's got to be careful that he doesn't DNF, because otherwise he'll be out of the championship. And that is something you do not want. He's 65 points behind Wade at the moment. So, Deck goes into the pit lane and changing his front wing. Jack Craig, I think, will do the same. Lewis, I think, doing the same as well. So I wonder if they all got caught up in a little bit of a mare on lap 1 shenanigans. We'll find out very, very soon. Now, interestingly, out of everybody else, Baz is the only one that's gone on to the soft compounder tyres, but he hasn't made up the ground that he wanted as of yet. But maybe he's figured there could be an early safety car due to the undercut. So we'll watch out for him later on. But I think the ones that are taking the advantage are the ones on the harder tyres. So if you're on hards, probably a good thing. But if there's a safety car, that could bring back from people from 9th downwards. You never know, but they're going to lose so much more time due to front wing damage. So this could be very, very intense for all drivers involved. Scottish Goat is keeping within touching distance of Jordan as we're about to start lap 3. Of course, DRS already enabled, so Scottish Goat can use that extra straight line at speed in order to do so. And I want to see lap times compared to everybody else. It's of course hard to overtake with on tracks with high climates anyway, and in real life it'll be harder anyway. So we're just gonna have to wait and see, and people use their gut instinct when to go for moves. They don't want to be too close to a car because their engine is going to overheat, and in a track like this you definitely do not want to overheat your engine, let's just say. So you got to a little bit further back, as we could see a move going. Yes, we could. Yes, Dan to the right-hand side. It's going to be very tight on entry as we enter sector 2. Tony to the inside as Tony defends from Dan very well. So Dan stays in 8th position. Tony stays in 7th, which I think is quite crucial anyway for his title hopes and his title defence. So I think Tony's got to climb a few more positions here, as we can see. I think it's Ryan Berry trying to go up the inside. He almost had a bit of a love tap from Dan there. That could have been disastrous. Here comes... I thought Tony was going to go for another move there, but no, he's not. So the gaps are starting to come more to their own now, and we will start to see the medium and soft tyre runners really start to struggle now. And that is where we'll see the hard runners probably start to increase their gaps a little bit. Now, I wonder if Darky was racing, what tyres he would have started on. So Tony's coming in. Now, that is a bit early compared to what I was expecting, but maybe he did pick up damage, so we'll see. He comes in. I expect him to go onto the hards. Please don't go on softs, because I will kill you if you go on softs. He's on hards, thank goodness. And he's got a change in front wing, so he must have hit someone. Now, Baz has got a time penalty, so we've got our second time penalty of the day, because Jack Craig has picked up one earlier on in the race. But it honestly, from experience around this track, it's so easy to get time penalties around here, especially at the start of Sector 3. I've done that so many times during my quali laps around here anyway. So we'll see what we can do here with Scottish Goat. I think he's just biding his time. He's biding his time. He's using quite a bit of verse just to stay ahead. What is Jordan's looking at like right now? Jordan's he's hardly used any. Jordan's hardly used any, so I think it shows how quick of a driver Jordan really is around there. So I think he's just going to try and manage his pace right now. Wants to be conservative. You don't want to be using up your pace too, eh? And don't forget, he's got to go on to mediums later on. He can't go on hards again. And don't forget a safety car, of course, and you just kind of like switch around potentially. So not much overtakes being made, but they will get probably spicy towards the end of the race. DRS activated for Scottish Go. Could this be his opportunity? Nope, he stays behind for now. And you can see, I think, the house using quite a lot of the curb to his advantage. I think one driver that's doing very well on the hard is Chris Johnson. He's just suddenly deciding to find a bit more pace on Scottish Go. And he's got more ERS to use in Scottish Go too. So this could be his breakthrough moment. On F1 24, he probably would have gone for the move there. But he's forced to stay back again to make sure the engine temperatures don't get too hot. So we're watching him go through in towards turn 8 and 9. Oh, he's lost a bit of time on Scottish Go there. He was winning DRS, but he's not winning DRS anymore. He is lost, I think, even more time. So yeah, that is where the tyres really start to disintegrate, no matter what tyres you would have gone for, really. So we'll see what happens. And we could already see, for Baz's sake, he's lost a lot of time on the softs. So the softs are already dead. So his main hope is there's a safety car and he can go on either mediums or hard tyres. Because Dan is already catching up to him and Baz has already had a bit of a slide. So we'll see Dan trying to go to the right-hand side, and it's going to be an easy move. Yeah, it's going to be an easy move for Dan. So he's up into 6th place. And yeah, if I was Baz, I would come into the pits now. But he's going to stick it. He's going to stick it out, which I don't blame him for doing, to be honest, because he wants to try and defend his position. He doesn't care what tyre he's on, and that's what I like about him. So anyway, we're on lap 6 of 22. We'll see what's going on in at the midfield. Not much is happening, but we got Jake, I think, doing a lot better on his tyres in the ERS compared to James. So I think he's just going to bind his time, use the extra ERS that he has. So here comes Jake to the inside. James defending very well, actually, from Jake. It's impressive on how far James has come since he started league racing on this game, actually. So it's nice he's been able to defend like that. And I did see the timings move around in the background, and that's because Ryan Berry did get past Bazza. So Ryan Berry did get past Bazza. So Baz has now dropped through the field. Now, we're going to keep an eye on people's fuel as well, because I bet you, with a track like this, it's very common for safety cars. And people may think, yeah, let's up the fuel because we could get a safety car. So what I've learned recently, especially with this patch, safety cars, they hardly ever come out. They hardly ever come out unless you put it on increased. So, Jay was almost going to go for a dive bomb move there past James. Now, of course, this is probably the only battle that's going on right now, because everyone else is just about a second behind, and it's just impossible to keep an eye on the battle. So here comes Jake to the left. James closes the door. I don't think Jake wants to go for it anyway. He wants to be, I think, a bit smarter. His teammate is closing in as well, so maybe he could use Dan can use his teammate just to close it in a little bit, because don't forget, Dan is still in his championship fight. He only needs to score tonight. Hold on, let me have a look. I need to scroll right up again. I should have put it on a Word document, as Baz, by the way, goes into the pit lane. As long as Dan scores 6 points tonight, he is in contention. So at the moment, he's doing what he needs to do, but he wants to score more points than that right now. But we know that Jake likes to defend anyway, so will he help his teammate, or will he defend from himself? It will be interesting. I've seen at least this point of the season he's done both scenarios in multiple championships, so it could be anyone's game. You can't afford to fight too much now. So I think we're seeing pretty much everyone from 8 downwards has come into the pit lane. And you've already seen how the undercut is powerful. Lewis Craig gained about 3.4 seconds on Bazza. But of course, they were all a little bit further down anyway. So I think the true testament of the undercut will be the ones who are just pitting now, which is one of the Ferraris, which is Jake, I believe. So Jake comes in. He's going to go onto the hard tyres. So we are going to watch Ryan Berry then as Jake comes into the pit lane. Close in on Jake's teammate, Dan P. Wilner. So Ryan Berry, of course, been teammates with Deck, a.k.a. Acorn95, for a long period of time. And they want to score some crucial points for Aston Martin tonight. And he's a little bit too further back to do anything about it. So he's not going to go for the move just yet. So where does Jake come out of the pit lane? He comes out just behind Tony. So he's going to have a fight with Tony by the looks of things. So how long is he going to stretch those hards? We're going to have to wait and see. So I think they're going to hope when people come out of the pits, they're going to hope they come out in some clear air. Because if they come out in traffic, that is really going to be a recipe for disaster for them. And I think maybe, of course, the top three, they're going to have to stretch a little bit. But if I was Gamer James and Dan, I would come in now. Because you're already, like, in this train full of traffic. Dan especially, because he's right in the middle of this. He's going to get held up quite significantly. And if he doesn't pit now, he's going to lose so much more time. So Dan, I think if I was him, I would have to come in. But he's staying out. So he's staying out for a little bit longer. And see if he can try and stretch those meetings for as long as he can. Maybe he's praying for a safety car. Who knows? Who knows with Dan? Of course, we know why the top three are staying out. Because they're going to have to stretch out the hards for a longer period of time. Because we know that the mediums do not last long than expected. Deck, by the way. Oh! Deck's out of the race. Are we going to get a safety car? Well... yes, we are. Is that Deck's first retirement? I don't think Deck's retired at all this season, or ever. Okay, that was interesting. So here we go. So the ones that haven't pitted yet, they're gonna be absolutely relieved. The ones who haven't, they are gonna be absolutely kicking themselves. So Jordan will still come out in the lead by the looks of things. So gap to leader, 40 seconds. So yeah, pretty much the top six will come out as they are. Yeah, the ones who appeared are definitely going to be kicking themselves. But anything can happen. Anything can happen now. But this might have hurt the hard runners a little bit because they're going to have to stretch those mediums 13 laps or so, which is not going to be good. You're all going to have to come in regardless. So the ones that's going to benefit is James and Dan. Could we see those two get their first wins in the league? We'll have to find out. Oh, Chris Johnson... oh, his day's gone from bad to worse. A safety car come up, which didn't help him with his hard strategy, and he's got a 10-second penalty. I'm surprised not many more people have got 10-second penalties, to be honest. But they all come in for a set of the hards, the ones on mediums, and the ones on hards go on to a set of mediums. So, this is going to be interesting then. So, where is Jordan? So, Jordan's going to come out still in the lead. But we'll see. So, yeah, pretty much the top six stay. Pretty much everybody stayed exactly as they are. No change to the status quo there. Which means for people that have underfueled, they're going to be relieved. So, Jake... oh, okay. Jake's coming again. What? Why not? Jack was a little bit further back anyway. He's going to go on mediums. Okay. So, Jake's going to go on mediums. Why not? Because... he saw the likes of Dan and Jake stretch out those tyres. I think if I was Jack, I would do exactly the same. I will do exactly the same if I was Jack, because obviously the gap now is going to be even bigger. So, honestly, maybe if you were in the back, you would do that. if we still have a spare set of mediums left. But Jack's not going to do that, which I'm a bit surprised about, but maybe he doesn't know that Jake's done that. So it's going to take a while for everyone to catch up to the safety car. And of course, we are going to be keeping an eye on closely on the odd championship protagonists and seeing how many more points they would need to score after this race in order to stay in the title 5. Now, Deck, he's got to make sure he scores 6 points in the next race in Kota. If he does not do that, he's out of the championship fight. Tony, of course, where he is, he needs to score, I think, ooh, if I do my maths correctly, he needs to pretty much get a podium at some point, which could still be viable because you never know how many people could get penalties, but him getting into the title fight is going to be hard. Lewis Craig, smart thing to do, he's going on meters, but let's hope he doesn't get caught up in the shenanigans. He's probably going to regret this, but we'll have to wait and see. Why is Jack not being smart and not pitting onto mediums? If I was him, it'll be a no-brainer, but maybe he hasn't got any mediums yet. Left. Jack, come in. Okay, thank goodness for that. Jack has seen sense. He's come into the pit lane. He probably saw his brother do the same, so he's probably going to do the same. So this is going to get interesting. This is going to get spicy. Now, I'm going to take a sip of my drink. And I pretty much almost muted myself for a little bit, so apologies about that earlier on. So we are just waiting for Jack Craig to come in to close into the safety car. So we'll run for your order then of the race so far. So Jordan, who started the race on pole position, is leading. Scottish Goat in second. Chris Johnson in third, but he's going to be plagued by a 10-second time penalty, which is going to drop him way down the order, and he can't get them removed because he sped into the pit lane. James in fourth. Dee's got a poor defensive masterclass of his life. Dan in fifth. Ryan Berry in sixth. Bazza seventh. Tony eighth. Jake ninth. Lewis 10th. Jack Craig 11th. So that is your order. Jack, the safety car's just like, no. Jack's taking forever to catch up, and I'm like, sayonara. So basically, it will be up to Jordan when he can go, because the safety car has come into the pit lane, so he can go when he wants to now. So he's going now. So for the second time tonight, we go racing, and Jordan has already pulled away really, really well. And Chris Johnson's also had a good restart as well as they make their way towards turn number 1 for the 12th time of asking. Lewis Craig down the inside of Jake, gets through already. So Jake, not the best of restarts, but for Lewis, nice and tidy for him on those medium tyres. So maybe the mediums are not operating at a good window for Jake right now. Already James is outside of the DRS window of Chris Johnson, so he's got a lot of work to do there. As we could see, I think Scottish Go is going to be under pressure soon from Chris Johnson, because you can see Chris Johnson is just hungry. He wants to climb as many positions as he can so he can get rid of that deficit. He doesn't want to be last. He doesn't want to lose that many positions. So the more place that he gains in the race in general, the better. So he's just going to try and push as much as he can. Oh, Bad has had enough. Bad has had enough then. And I think has he got damage? I think he has. Oh, that's frustrating for him. We'll see. No, he should sound enough. Okay, so I think but he might have had some sort of damage, so he'll probably come in and go onto a set of softs or something. Actually, no, softs won't work. Why are you suggesting, Jess, that he should go on a set of softs? But anyway, we'll closely watch our top three because that's going to be the main fight. So Chris Johnson, as it stands, I believe with the points that he's going to score in this race, he only will have to score... Let me have a look. Let me get the points. I'm just trying to remember how many points you score per race. So he will score 15 points as it stands, but he's got that 10-second penalty looming over him. Yeah, Bowser did get damaged, that's why he's come in. That explains it then. And Dan, by the way, does get past James up into P4 on the exit of turn number 7. So yes, so even some minor damage has hurt Bowser a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. So, but still got plenty more races still to go, as Dan's losing a lot of time to Chris Johnson on those hards, which has not helped this train behind. But if I was Dan, I would be very patient because the mediums are not going to last forever. They're not going to last forever at all, and I don't think we're going to get another safety car. And there's no yellow flag. The game's always like that when we show say, oh, did Ryan Berry hit the wall? It looked like Ryan Berry hit the wall big time. He's lost a bit of his front wing. Okay, he lost a bit of his. No, he's not. Yeah, he's coming in. He's coming to the pit. It's not going very well for the Aston Martin team tonight. So I think medium tyres for another set of the medium tyres. But he's going to run out of mediums at this rate. But he comes in anyway. So yeah, Aston Martin, their day's gone bad to worse. So how does that affect them in the Constructors then? Because they're currently sitting in the Constructors P5. So, of course, Red Bull not here tonight. They're lucky. But that means McLaren can really stretch that gap a little bit, because both McLarens are now ahead. Ooh, for Aston Martin. Big news if you're McLaren fans. And one McLaren, Chris Johnson, is doing very well. And as long as he could be able to push, that'll be good. Ryan Berry picks up a penalty. So we're starting to see, as the race goes on and on, we're starting to see more drivers pick up time penalties as the race goes on. And I said race goes on far too many times. So I do apologise about that one. And I have to say, pretty much drivers of the day has got to be these two. Scottish Goat and Jordan. They've been keeping up with the pace throughout the entirety of the race so far, and they have never looked back. Of course, Jordan has been the one that's dominating the first half of the race, but of course, Scottish Goat, I think, will need to work a bit more on saving his tyres a bit more towards the end of the stint, so he might lose a bit of time towards the end of the race, potentially. Unless we get, like, maybe a late safety car. So, can anyone do a charge? Quicker Chris Johnson do a charge? Nope, he cannot. We'll see if Lewis Craig can catch up to the back of Gamer James. No, he cannot. The ones on the mediums need to get a move on here. Because if they don't get past the hard runners now, the hard runners are going to really start to eat into the gap and start to increase the gap a little bit. And I always keep thinking that we got a yellow flag, but no, we do not have a yellow flag. That's why I'm going to keep an eye on the track map tonight, more than anything. If you are liking the action here tonight, don't forget to give this stream a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and turn those notification bells so you get recommended this stream. So we stream most Wednesdays at 8 PM. And next week, of course, is the final race. And then we're off for two to 3 weeks before we're then back on the 23rd, I think, if I do my maths correctly. Or is it the 24th? It's in the last working week of September anyway. So it's going to be then. Will be the first race of season 6. But so the drivers will get a nice week break, a nice 2-week break to recuperate and see what they need to do to warm themselves up for next season. I don't think Chris Johnson's going to catch up to Scottish Goat, you know. I think it's going to be between Jordan and Scottish Goat for the race win. So Bazza picked himself another time penalty. So we'll get your time penalties on your screen so you know. So there you go. So Chris Johnson, he's the only one that got a speeding in the pit lane penalty. Everybody else has got either 3 or 6 second penalties. For some drivers who don't like this circuit, they're going to hope that this race is over before we know it. So we'll find out very soon. So we're about to start lap 17 out of 22 very soon too. And of course, in 2009, the curbing was reduced in certain parts of the circuit, so one of the corners become less of a challenge. But we know that Adrian Sittil and Camille Kobayashi fell victim to one of the chicanes over the years. And the corners are referred to, of course, by many names, but there's some times where I just forget them and I don't bother to say the corners very much. So surely Jordan must be thinking about the championship now, because Jordan has joined midway through the season and he's still within a mathematical chance of winning the championship. So how many points does he need to score tonight? 41 points. So he scored at the moment 30 points. So well, if he wins this race, he'll score 30 points. So if he wins this race, he will need to score 12 points. Is that right? Yeah, he will need to score like 11 or 12 more points after this race in order for him to stay mathematically in the running. That'll be a good championship fight, if I do say so myself. As Decker's left the session again. He was planning to watch it. Let's hope his internet doesn't mess up for the Kota race, because then he's out of the championship fight, which will be a weird one because he was the one that we thought was going to be safe from the championship fight, but it's more than likely that he's not going to be doing that at this stage. So Lewis Craig's next target now is Dan, and Lewis Craig has been looking quite good on an almighty comeback, which shows how great he is around this circuit. So here comes Lewis Craig in towards turn 7 and 8. Nicely done, and they always show a lot of respect because they have been fighting against each other in TGP2 over the years. So it is to be expected that they provide all this good entertainment and this good battling for you viewers and us commentators alike too. And to be honest, that's the only battle that we could see out there on the circuit right now. And I think Lewis has saved a bit of hers. Yes, he has. What about Dan? Dan's doing all right with his DRS as well. Okay, so they're managing pretty well. We're now getting to the stage of the race where I think Scottish Goat's tide is starting to wear off a little bit, and I think Jordan is just managing the pace absolutely brilliantly, and he's just keeping a close full watch of Scottish Goat, and he can afford to save his tyres at some point and not get involved in any slides or anything, because that's one advantage. If you push too much, that's where the car can start to slide quite a lot here. So, and I think that there's got to be times where Scottish Goat has got to be saving for his life. And you can see the corners that he's struggling right now as he makes his way through into the next section. And you can also see the corners of the circuit where he's struggling as well. So Jack comes in again. So he must have picked up more damage from that car. And I have to say, this track is very enduring. It's honestly, it's one of the most difficult tracks to drive for any driver. And speaking from experience, especially with a direct drive, it hurts your shoulders so much. Oh, Jack Craig, what have you done? What have you done, my friend? So Jack has got a 10-second penalty for crossing the pit lane exit line. I think he must have crossed it more times than not right now. As we got a battle here. Lewis Craig versus Dan. As Lewis Craig gets Dan up to 4th. So we missed that as we saw Jack have a bit of a bottle. And we're going to see Dan on the attack once more, because he's now going to have to play the attack game, whereas Lewis has to play the defence game. And don't forget, Lewis is on tyres that we think won't get to the end, whereas Dan's not. So maybe just Lewis has the upright pace here today compared to Dan. So he's going to use a DRS. Don't think he's going to use overtake yet. He's just going to be patient. You don't want to push for the entirety of those last few laps. You want to play smart games, which Dan is definitely doing. So this is going to be a very entertaining battle for the last couple of laps between these two. So grab your popcorn. It's going to get interesting here at Singapore. Don't forget, we've got one more race coming up. Later on, we go to Kota. Bazza comes into the pit lane. They just want to get fastest laps for glory, don't they? So they'll come through onto a set of softs. They've got nothing to lose at the end of the day, so why not? As Jack picks up a time penalty again. Jack's doing well. I think Jack's picked up the most penalties today. Because he's now... Wait, actually, no, it might be Bazza. Never mind. Let me have a look. No, but it's not. Oh, yeah, because Bazza didn't get that 10 seconds. Chris Johnson got 10. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, Jack Craig did get the most penalties. Here comes Dan Wilner through on the inside. Nicely done. And he's through into 4th. And Lewis Craig will probably think, well, we'll see about that. I'm going to challenge again. Or maybe he's going to wait for the DRS on the final lap and go for it there. Or is he going to go for it here? But he's hit the wall. Did he just hit the wall there? Let me see. I think he just about got away with it. If he has, he's a very lucky boy. But I swear I heard a bit of a tap on the wall from Lewis Craig. Tony has gone to pit for softs as well. It's literally a soft tyre battle. I love it. I absolutely love it. But let's just hope Lewis Craig has not hit the wall, because I would like to see this final fight between these two. They're catching up to Chris Johnson, by the way. 1.9 seconds. Chris Johnson's tyres is dead. So at the moment, for Dan and Lewis, this is a fight for the podium between these two. Bring it on. So I think these two, they got to afford not to lose it, because the people around him, they may gain position because of it. So we're about to start the final lap of this race. Jordan leads by 2.15 seconds. Scottish Goat in second. Chris Johnson in third. But Lewis has got to make the lunge now. He's got to. Lewis goes to the left. But Dan saws Lewis coming. And he's like, no, you're not going for that move, sunshine. My P3 is mine. But we could see Lewis Craig is got that extra pace on him today, but has he got the extra grip on the tyres? Through it into the DRS zone. This could be his last chance. Here comes Lewis Craig to the left. Can he get him? No, Dan's defending beautifully. He is defending really well. But Lewis Craig has still got a few more chances, so it's not over yet. But Dan is doing very well to catch up to Chris Johnson. I know they'll get Chris Johnson anyway due to the penalties. But, I mean, this is absolutely insane. So the next golden opportunity will be the Sector 3. And Bazza did get fastest lap so far, but will Jack Craig or Tony have something to say to that? I don't think Lewis Craig's going to come close. Unless he can get him here, I don't know. You can see Chris Johnson struggling. I'm a bit worried that Chris Johnson might have run out of fuel, you know. But here comes Jordan. He started on pole. He ended the race in P1. He wins in Singapore from lights to flag. Scottish Goat gets his best result of the season in P2. I think Chris Johnson's run out of fuel. And here comes Dan and Lewis. Dan did what he needed to do and gets P3 from him. Lewis 4th, James 5th. Jake recovers to 6th. Chris Johnson will go in 7th place, so he didn't lose that much places, but what could have been for him. So, update for championship permutations then. Dan would have needed to outscore Wade by 6 points. He's already done that. So, as it stands, we will have a title fight next week. So we won't have a championship crown tonight. Dan will join Waze next week. Chris Johnson, he's got a lot of work to do now. Because, let me just have a look. So he's in 7th, so how many more points does he need to score? So we need to get on the podium next race. So he needs to win. He needs to get pole and then get P2 or something, or get the win. Otherwise, he's out. Tony finished 8th. So he needs to pretty much get either win or get on the podium or get pole. Otherwise, he's out. So we could have a situation where we could have 3 or 4. So Deck only needs to score 5 points. So if Deck gets pole in like Kota or something, then he's in the title fight anyway. I think Jordan gets. I'm torn between who gets driver of the day between Jordan and Scottish Goat, but I'm gonna take a while to decide that one. But we got a while, so that's fine. So your order then. Your provisional results for the Singapore Grand Prix is as follows. And we've still got one more race, and my voice will probably almost die. So, Jordan wins from Scottish Goat, Dan, Lewis, James, Jake, Chris, Tony, Bazza, Ryan Berry, and Jack Craig. And your one and only DNF, he hit the wall, which caused our one and only safety car of this evening, is Deck. Wow. So one person has booked their ticket into the championship fight next week, along with Waze. Who will join those two? Will we have a 3rd or 4th person join? Or will that be it? Only time will tell, eh? This is going to get very intense. So please make sure you're tuned in to the next race. We got a 25% race coming up for you, and of course one-shot qualifying. And don't forget, people score points in qualifying too. So of course Texas, a track where we've seen in league race, for me at least, we've seen hardly any rain, but a lot of close action. I loved commentating on Kota races because you could just see battles heading especially towards 13 and 14, and also 11 and 12 as well, because you treat it, those lots of corners, you treat it like one turn, and it's absolutely satisfying if you get it right. So we're going to watch these drivers go into battle tonight around this COTA circuit. So a little bit of facts about COTA, as if I get it up on my phone. First season Formula 1 back in 2012, but it has hosted many American Grand Prix for a long period of time. Used to host in Indianapolis, but after what happened in 2005, 2006, never again. Never again. Lewis Hamilton is the most successful driver at the United States Grand Prix with 6 victories. So there we go. So the lobby is getting set up for the one shot and the 25% race. And Lewis looked like he had a lot of fun there. So, okay, so Jack has posted in the driver's chat the current standings. Okay, right. I'm going to get it up on my screen and try and save it, shall I? Right. Come on. Sorry if it'll take a while because I'm literally going to try and save the standings for you. Hopefully that is saved now. Please. Otherwise I'm going to cry. So, I'm just going to check to see if it's saved. Yes, it has. Okay, cool. So, let's go through your updated standings as of now, as of Singapore. So, Waze is on 246 points. As it stands, Deck is still in the championship. Not Deck, sorry. Dan is in the championship by next week. So the gap between them is 51 points. Deck's got a 65-point gap. And what about Jordan after his win? Let me do the maths. 71. So Jordan won't need to score that many points at all then. So the ones we got to keep an eye on is Chris Johnson and Tony. Because if they lose out on more points, they're screwed. They're absolutely screwed at this point. So we're about to get underway for the penultimate, the penultimate race 2 of the season. No, we're gonna get underway with race 2 of the evening. And who will come out on top? A very easy track to invalidate. And we'll watch out for all of our, we'll watch out for Dan. Well, we won't watch out for Dan because he's in the championship fight. But he's got to score. Honestly, he's got to have a very... If he has a very good Texas, he can really close in on Waze. And I think the most he could close into is about 30 points, maybe. So, but even then, Dan will need to have perfect races for the last 3 races. It's going to be, I think, really, really interesting. I think, of course, Waze will be here next week. And we have no Deck. Okay, so Deck's not here. Darky's here now. Oh, so Darky's back. So we thought that Darky wasn't going to be in a championship contention. He is. So it must have been Darky was at work or something. But yes, Darky's here. So we have got him back in the picture. Right. So how many points does Darky need to score? 12. So we need to score, I think, 4th, which is doable for Darky. So we need to score 4th place this evening, or probably less than that if he gets pole, which he's got a lot of poles this season, so it is doable. So who is going to get pole this evening? Jack's money is on Lewis Craig, according to the tweet, but you never know with Dive Bomb F1, who is ready to see the penultimate one-shot qualifying of the season we will have to wait and see. Let's go on board with the man that Jack thinks could get pole. Right, we make our way in towards turn number 1 for the first time tonight. And he lost a bit of grit as he entered there. Now, this section is reminiscent of tracks such as Suzuka, the mega section of Silverstone. So many characteristics that people could be reminded of. There's also parts of the track that could be reminded for Turkey, which should be back in the Formula 1 calendar, by the way. So, then we got Lewis Craig making his way in towards turn 10. Now we got the section where the sun can absolutely blind you if you're not careful. So Lewis Craig makes his way through. He needs to gain the time and take an early apex in towards turn 11 and 12, which I think he just about does. Very nicely does it. But he's not going to gain much time on his rivals. He is purple sector 2 though, which means his sector 2 was good compared to everybody else. Let's see how he does it in the section. Oh, a bit of a twitch there through that section. At the moment, it's a battle between Darky and Dan P. Wilnut for pole position, and both of them are needing this for their championships. Lewis Craig's having a good run as well, but here comes Darky. He's only attended one race tonight. He's scored 5 points, which means he only needs 12 minus 5. Let me do the maths. No, not plus 5, minus 5. Stupid phone. So we only need 7 points to stay in the fight for next week. So we need to beat P8. So he's probably relieved about that. Only 6 drivers have had valid laps. So Darky Lewis, Dan Bazer, Ryan and Chris Johnson have set valid laps. But for Dan and Darky, that is crucial. For Chris Johnson, that's not what they want. Because does that mean Chris Johnson and Tony are out of the running now? Because surely they need to score more points, don't they? I don't know. Quite tough to think about that. But we are about to get underway for some racing. But Darky has probably scored the most crucial points of his life there. And he's probably going to be absolutely delighted there. So, luckily for the drivers, no rain. Personally, I would have wanted rain from the drivers, but they will be probably doing that. Darky's saying he had an absolutely rubbish lap and he still got a pole. Darky, don't complain, you got pole. Yeah, Darky got pole and he still had a rubbish lap. But anyway, we're going to keep an eye on the tyres. I think we could see more soft tyre runners around this track, around Kota. And yeah, Deck can't rejoin the session. Absolutely devastating. So Deck now is officially out of the title fight. But we are about to get underway for the second race this evening. The 5 red lights are on. And it is time to rock and roll here in Austin, Texas. Let's see who gets a good start. It is Darky. Also, Bazer trying to be put under pressure from Ryan Berry and Chris Johnson. Bazer's already up into 3rd place. And he's passed quite a few drivers already. He's passed, I think, Dan Wilnut in the post as well. So he's been putting a lot of drivers under pressure here. So it's from Darky, from Craig, from Bazer, from Dan, from Ryan Berry, from Chris Johnson. And that is your order at the moment as they make their way through the S's. They all make their way clearly so far. We'll see how everyone's doing on their tyres. Top 6 on the mediums, apart from James on the softs. Everyone else on softs. You can see Scottish Go, who did not have the best of qualifying, diving up the inside of Gamer James, but he didn't make the move stick, which is very annoying. But Scottish Go, he's going to try and get the slipstream. But here comes Lewis Craig, though, on Darky. Takes the lead, but Darky gets to switch back and dreams here. But he's not going to make this move stick, I don't think. As he goes round the outside, does Darky. Trying for the cut back. Oh, this is beautiful from those two. As they try and leave each other room. Let's hope they don't hit each other. Lewis is ghosted for some weird reason. I don't know why. Let's hope he doesn't disconnect. But I think he's fine now. They're still going to potentially go side by side knowing him. But Darky then takes the lead from Lewis, and they're probably going to be a class of their own tonight because they're already stretching the gap to the rest of the field. So now if DRS is active, this will allow Lewis a second chance to get back at Darky here. But we will see plenty of drivers using a bit of VRS closing on each other. Oh, James has had a bit of a wobble. So is Chris Johnson. Will that allow Scottish Go to try and capitalise? Maybe not, because the dirty air around this track could be an absolute nightmare as we make our way through the SH for the second time. Chris Johnson has got to climb a lot more position than that. So is Tony. And Darky pretty much has got to win tonight. As we could see, Dan almost got Bazza then for a second. So Dan has really got, I think, superior pace today. But we know what Bazza had in space defending as Lewis Craig goes for the lead. And Dan gets P3 from Bazza. But here we come. This is the fight we want to see. Lewis Craig taking the lead from Darky, which is not what Darky wants, because Darky wants to score more points just to see if he can close up to Waze. So, this could get interesting now. Let's keep an eye on the RS, actually, for the time being. I will switch it off in just a moment. So, Darky, 57%. Oh, no, what have I done? I've disabled the wrong button. Lewis Craig, 52%. Darky's hardly used any. So Darky could save quite a bit of battery here as he makes his way through. So, Darky, the number 99, who is doing a lot better in terms of consistency this season in terms of, like, hardly picking up any DNFs, because I know in previous leagues we've been picking up DNFs like no tomorrow, but now he's the DNFs he's hardly got any. But anyway, Darky, I think if I was him, I would absolutely try and go for it and send it here on Lewis Craig, because he's got more ERS than anything. DRS enabled, but I think he's going to be a little bit too further back to do anything about it. But you never know with Darky. He likes to go for the send of dreams here. He runs a bit wide, but that's not going to stop Darky in his traps right now. But anyway, I think there was quite a few drivers that were having trouble in the background, Jack being one of them. But Jack and Tony having a good fight. Look at this. Jack was having a little bit of a lag, but obviously that's my internet, not his internet. So Tony stays in at 10th position. Well, he gets into 10th position. That's what I was trying to say. Singapore was a very long race. It was hard to commentate Singapore, really. But, oh, as Tony's made a bit of a mistake, that will allow Jack and Jade to get them, I guess. Jack's right on the back of this. As I think, here we go. There comes Jack up into 10th. But, oh, they're still going to go side by side once more. Gamer James does get past Chris Johnson, I believe. Bazza picks up a penalty. But, so we got our first penalty of the evening. Will we see more? We have to wait and see. But it's not going to affect people too much because we have no safety cards. But I know from experience that it is so easy to pick to get time penalties here. Very easy. As we've got to change for the lead once more as Darky reclaimed it off Lewis. Oh, Darky's run wide. He's gone off. Surely that's Lewis Craig's. Surely that's Lewis Craig's. Yes, it is. Bit of a lap tap. Keep it clean, boys, which they do. Lewis takes the lead from Darky. And that is nicely done from the RB man. And the question is, will they be able to stay there, Lewis Craig, or will Darky pull up a challenge? Yeah, Jack Craig is struggling because Jake has got past him as well. And will Dan have something to say about it? Darky's got a penalty. Darky has got a penalty. Oh, no. I think Darky must be absolutely kicking himself right now. Absolutely kicking himself. He's got a lot of work to do, of course. He needs to score 11 more points. Actually, no. He needs to score 11 points tonight. He's already scored 5. So we need to score at least 7 more points. If he does not do that, he's out of the championship fight. So far, it's Dan and Waves that'll be in the championship fight next week. It's looking very likely we could have one more driver join him. James past Jordan. Jordan is struggling a bit more here this evening in Kota, which is not what we expect from him. But there's still a long way still to go as Jordan reclaims P6 from James, which is very impressive. They can't afford to squabble too much because they're going to lose so much position and they may be in danger of getting a penalty themselves. We could see other drivers that could force drivers into a mistake here. And because of Darky's mistake, the gap now has increased 2.1 seconds. So Darky, I think, has pushed a little bit too much compared to Lewis Craig. Lewis Craig likes these type of tracks. He could save tyre life for his life and just manage the pace, which is absolutely fantastic if you're in the RB car. James has come into the pit lane for a set of the mediums, it looks like. So he's gone for an early pit stop. We know the softs weren't going to last that long, but fair play to Gamer James for taking a gamble here today. And Ryan Berry, I have to say, is pulling in a stellar performance in P5. He's doing really well. Of course, he won in... I'm trying to remember what race he won. Was it Canada? Yeah, he won in Canada this season. And his pace, I have to say then, was amazing. But his pace is impressive now. He could get another podium here. I think he would here. So he's going to try and get past Bazza. Or a bit of a tap there, but that was easy done for Ryan Berry. Ryan Berry had more pace there. So Ryan Berry up to 4th. I don't think Bazza wanted to fight that one anyway because Bazza knew that Bazza's got a penalty. Whereas Ryan Berry doesn't. And what we know with Ryan Berry is good at not picking up in-game penalties. So this trap will work out very well for him. So about to start lap 7 of 14. Or we might be on lap 7. Yeah, we are on lap 7 of 14. So as it stands, it will be Lewis from Dan from Darky. That will be your top 3. Jack Craig comes in and to the pit lane for his one and only stop. Hard tyres till the end of the race. So no one's going to be brave and opt for the softs then. Or maybe Jack just wants to get his tyres stop out of the way so then he doesn't have to pit again. I've not tried hards around here. And I always like to know what it's like. Interesting. So we are approaching half race distance very, very soon as well. This could be a good fight. We got Ryan versus Bazza versus Jordan. We got Chris versus Scottish Goat. And yeah, I think that's it. As Basil almost looked like he was going to go for the move there. As Jordan on the fight there. Oh my God, this is amazing. As Jordan goes around the outside of Bazza. Bazza cuts the inside. Becomes the outside now. Tucks in to turn 15 and 16. And we thought Jordan was going to go for it, but he does not. We know Bazza likes to defend, and he's defending nicely. Oh, Darky! Darky's picked up another penalty. Oh, that's frustrating. That is frustrating. Jordan's on the attack. Jordan could get fifth from Bazza, which he does. Nicely done. The battle was really fun whilst it lasted, to be fair, as Darky comes in to the pit lane. Oh. And he, understandably, Darky goes on soft, but he's on 6 seconds. If he loses a chance to get in the championship fight because he got 6 seconds worth of penalties, it's probably going to be my fault because I've jinxed him too much. So, gap between Lewis and Dan now, 4.5 seconds. Gap between Dan and Ryan Berry, 4.7. Then Jordan's now closing up to Ryan Berry again now. I think it won't be long before these guys come into the pits because we saw Darky come in. Jack's picked himself another one. I won't be surprised if multiple people pick up time penalties, you know. Scottish Goat looking quite racy as well, but I think he's going to play it safe for now. I'm a bit worried about Scottish Goat, though, because he's used quite a bit of Urs to close in on Bazza. So, yeah, that's going to be unfortunate. Yellow flag. Oh, Jack. Jack's had a little bit of a spin. Oh, and he spun again. There are times where he kind of wishes he was back in the commentary box and not racing. There is a space open next week, Jack, if you want to join me for the finale. But he would want to race the final 2 races, I know that. But Lewis comes in, so does Dan. Ryan comes in. Pretty much most people near the front has come in. Apart from Jordan, Scottish Goat, and Jake. Interesting. Very interesting. Will that come back to bite them? We're going to have to wait and see. But we know that those three maybe not looking the best. But there are quite a lot of people invalidating qualifying, to be fair. They would have been higher. But usually on F1 25, if you do not have a good qualifying, it could really come back to bite you, really. As Jack is out of the race, he is unfortunately DNF'd. So that is no, he didn't retire at all, didn't he? In Singapore, he finished, didn't he? So he's still got points in Singapore. So Lewis goes through on Jake, but of course Jake has not pitted yet. The ones who haven't pitted, by the way, are going to drop way down the order. Way down the order. Chris Johnson gets past on James, up to 9th. I wondered, though, if James's medium tyres, though, are going to come alive a little bit towards the end of the race. Only time will tell. Jordan comes into the pits for his one and only stop. Scottish Goat will do the same. So that will promote Lewis Craig to the lead of this race that he's been holding on for so long. But the question is, can he keep it on the road? The gap between Lewis and Darky, 2.3 seconds. That is your current penalties so far. Darky will drop to... I think he'll still get the podium because the gap between Darky and Ryan Berry is still quite massive. So I think he'll still be absolutely fine on being in a title fight next week. I think he'll still be fine. I don't know why I was complaining about. Darky! As soon as I said you'll be fine, he gets another penalty. I swear, the driver that I've jinxed multiple times this season is him. And I'm going to apologise because, yeah, Darky, I'm so sorry. Honestly, Canada was worse. But, yeah, I think... so what's the gap now? So, 2.7... I don't know now. I really don't know. I think he'll drop behind these guys. So I think he'll just about be okay. But he'll need to pretty much win both races with Raze either not being here or crashing. So I think for Darky, it's going to be, I think, a tall order to win the title. And he was my call to win the title as well. I think it's just showing that it might not meant to be. Darky, I'm so sorry. Yellow flag. Tony. I think Tony's definitely out of the championship fight now. Because there's no way he's going to go from, like, 11th to 1st in, like, so many laps. Unless we have a big pile-up, which is not going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen, because otherwise there's going to be loads of stewards reports, and we wouldn't want that, do we? No, no, no. As Darky's... Oh. Okay. Darky would have dropped to 4th on penalties, but he's left the session. Right. So, that does mean now, unfortunately, Darky's out of the championship fight. That is gutting. Meanwhile, Jordan has got past Ryan Barry up to 3rd. So, did Darky disconnect, or did he just rage quit? Because it was really hard to tell, because we were watching so many people. I will keep an eye on the chat, but if he doesn't respond in a few minutes, I'm almost certain it's a disconnection. Which he'll probably be absolutely gutted about. Lewis Craig, by the way, sets the fastest lap of the race. I think he's got this win in the bag. 6.8 seconds, which I have to say is crazy. He's going to be the man to watch next season with CJ. Those two are my money for the title next season. Watch that. And if I'm right, there, can I have like £10, please? If these two are like top 2 next season. Yeah? Someone give me £10 if that happens. But yes, Lewis has been driving brilliantly so far. And let's hope he can keep it up there. Chris Johnson, by the way, can sneak up into... He could be 4th here. How many more points does he... He would need to get... I think he'll still need to get 2nd, I believe. But... As bad as picks up another one. He'll need to get 2nd, which I think is going to be tough. So I think by tonight, we could have 2 or even 3 still in the title fight. By the way, Chris Johnson does get past Bazza into 5th. We know how Chris and Bazza used to fight with when they were teammates before. They fought very well. But Chris Johnson had the better strategy here tonight. He's got no penalties either. So he's going to try and see if he can close in on Ryan Barry. The top 5 have no penalties so far. And we are about to start... Well, no, we're not about to start the final lap. What are you eating, Jess? What are you eating? The truth is, I'm not eating anything, but I'm just trying to think of course, words to say right now. And oh my god, I can't believe I missed this. I almost missed a potential move from Bazza on Chris Johnson there. But luckily nothing happened, so I didn't miss anything. But we got Tony fighting with Gamer James. It's a shame about Gamer James tonight, because they would have gone for, I think, a very good move there. And as we enter towards turn 9 and 10 coming up soon, just past the tower, we're going to approach the next DRS zone. Is Chris Johnson struggling on his tyres, potentially? We'll have to find out. As how is Chris Johnson's ERS? Chris Johnson's got more ERS to use compared to Bazza. So Bazza's going to try and attack him to the inside. Go away, Shibi Cameron. The camera that it put me on board with was awful. So I have to go to the on-board shot. But could Scottish Goat close in on this fight? I think I'm almost certain Scottish Goat will get Bazza anyway, because does he have less penalties? Yes. But I think Bazza will drop only like 1 or 2 places, which is not too bad. So we're starting the final lap of this race. Lewis Craig leads from Dan in 2nd, Jordan in 3rd, Ryan Berry 4th, Chris Johnson and Bazza 5th and 6th, with Scottish Goat in 7th. Because it won't end that way, but you never know. You never know. Because this could be a fight to score as many points as you possibly can in this championship, just to get you a nice warm-up ahead of next season. Season 6 starting towards the end of September. Tony's picked up a time penalty. I'm keeping an eye on the chat to see if we heard anything from Darky, but I think it's definitely a disconnection from Darky, because otherwise I would have heard him in the chat. But I have not seen him in the chat, unfortunately. So, yeah, it must be internet or power issues for Darky. So, yeah, because we would have heard otherwise. So, we'll go on board with Lewis Craig in just a few moments. And I think Bazza's run out of fuel, hasn't he? Because I can see the warning light on Bazza. But anyway, let's draw our attention to Lewis Craig. He comes across the line and he wins here in Kota. Dan comes across the line in 2nd, and Jordan has a very great recovery to P3. Ryan Berry, another good result for him, sorts himself into 4th. Then we got Chris Johnson from Scottish Goat. Bazza disconnected, but I think he'll still finish in 7th. Well, he'll drop down to 8th now because of the penalty. And then it'll be Gamer James in 9th and Tony in 10th. Wow. So as it stands, if my calculations are correct, I'm just trying to do the maths here. So Jordan will be, I think, well, hold on. So Jordan would score 15 more points. So that will be 175, 190. So I'm trying to do the maths here. So 246 minus 190. So yes, I was right. So we have got 3 drivers in the title fight next week. But I'll go through that in just a moment. Your order, though, for Texas are as follows. Lewis Craig wins. I think he gets my driver of the day, personally. Then we got Dan in 2nd, Jordan 3rd, Ryan Berry 4th, Chris Johnson 5th, Scottish Goat 6th, Jake 7th, F1 Bazza 8th, James 9th, Tony 10th. And then your retirements are Darky and Jack Craig. So, next week we have got a title fight. But the way this is going, both Dan and Jordan need to have 2 really great races and ways to have 2 rubbish ones in order for the title to go either one of their way. And I think, I'm almost certain that the DBF1 champion will go to ways next week. But you never know. Anything can happen around Interlagos and Abu Dhabi. So make sure you join us same time, same place next week at 7:10. Who will win the title? Will it be Waze? Will it be Dan P. Wilnut? Or will it be Jordan? Only time will tell. Join us then. I've been your commentator, Jess Ball. And we'll see which one of those 3 drivers will win the DBF1 Season 5 title. Take care, everyone. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.